everyone, ciao a tutti. This is Papilla ASMR. Today I wanted to show you a very traditional Italian tart. It's called Crostata, and it's basically short crust with jam. To make it, we're going to need 100 grams of sugar, 300 grams of flour, 1 whole egg plus a egg yolk, 80 grams of melted butter, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, a pinch of salt, and 300 grams of jam. I have here a fig conserve. But you can use any jam that you like. I almost forgot that you're also going to need something to give it an extra flavor, and typically it is either vanilla or lemon zest, but I prefer vanilla actually. So I found this recipe on Instagram. She's also on YouTube. She's called Chiara Passion, and she actually makes this with using oil instead of butter. But I wanted to try with melted butter. So this is a quicker version of the crostata. In the future I'll show you a more traditional version that we make with custard and fresh fruit as well. That's what I was thinking of doing. So you're also going to need a big bowl such as this one, and a rolling pin. So this recipe actually starts by putting the sugar in the bowl. Just need to add the salt. The oil, which in this case it's melted butter. And the eggs. So this is quite different from the traditional recipe, whereby you put flour on the board or the table, and then you add chunks of butter, and only after having worked those you add the other ingredients. This is supposed to be a quicker version, and a version for people who can't eat dairy, in case you follow the original version with oil. But I love the taste of butter, I have to be honest with you. So now we need to add the rest of the ingredients. I'm going to add the vanilla actually first. I'm never sure how to do this, and I don't usually, I tend to use vanilla extract. They didn't have it, so I had to invest in the fresh one, which really felt as an investment. It's quite expensive, but I'm sure it tastes nicer. Well, that's what I like to tell myself at this point. Okay, so I'm going to incorporate that as best as I can. And I'm going to add a little bit of flour at the time and just mix. So I guess the idea is to jump a few phases and just start the dough in the bowl, which should make it a little bit easier. And I guess less messy as well, even though I don't mind the mess caused by food. I don't mind that. Okay, I am realizing now that I definitely should have sieved the flour, but hopefully you won't have a lot of how do you say grumi? A lot of, you know what I mean. So as you can see, the mix is starting to be more like a dough. So now it's a matter of kind of deciding for yourself when it's time to transfer it on the working surface. I think I'm gonna go for another bit. Okay, I think it's time now. See, it's starting to kind of separate and be more workable, I guess. Let's put a little bit more flour just to help me. I forgot the baking powder. I'm just gonna add it now. Hopefully it won't make a difference. I'm a bit messy and unprepared today, as you might have noticed. I was planning on filming another video, and I realized I didn't have all the ingredients, so I had to postpone that, and I've decided at the last minute to try one of the recipes that I saved on Instagram. I think, I might be wrong, but I think this is the same account that gave me the idea of the condensed milk cake, which I made as a late night baking video. I think it's she just makes very like simpler versions and quicker versions of classics. So in the recipe she said that sometimes she doesn't need the whole of the flour, so she doesn't need the 300 grams. And in fact, in a video, she ends up using only 280, I think. And I think this is what I'm also going to end up doing, because I can feel it's already good as it is. Another shortcut of a recipe is that we will need to put the dough in the fridge to rest, which is something very important with the traditional version. And also something quite annoying, I have to say, because it would require quite a long time in the fridge, at least a couple of hours, they say. So instead, this is quite, it should be already ready. I think it's too soft, so I am going to add the rest of the flour. But I'm wondering now if it's the fact that I've used the butter instead of the oil. We'll find out, I guess. It shouldn't make that much of a difference at this stage, I guess, but we'll see. So now I'm going to just make it flat. I'm only going to need about half of this for the base, and the other half for the top of, or the decorative part. enough. Now I have one of these that has the removable bottom part. So this is the trickiest part. Okay, now I'm going to cut the border by just let the rolling pin go around it. So this should be enough. I'm going to save this for the top part. And now with a fork, you just pinch it a little bit to prevent it from kind of growing. We don't want the bottom part to lift, basically, and grow. We want it to stay flat. So now for the top / decoration. When making this kind of short crust pastry, things like that, you just want to handle it very little to avoid it from heating up and become soft. So I have a pizza cutter here, which is very good for this job. We're just going to make strips to put on the top of our tart. This was my job when I was little, and helping my auntie she used to make this quite a lot, and in fact I think she used to make every time that I go see her. After a while I think she just, loved our little tradition, and she wouldn't let me do a lot, but I was allowed to make the strips and also play with them. I don't know in advance how many I'm going to need, to be honest with you. I kind of forgot these things. So I'm going to pour the jam into the base now as well. Obviously I didn't think this through by making the strips first, but I don't think it's that heavy. So this is 370 jar, so I think this is 300. The most traditional, iconic one is apricot jam for this recipe specifically. And it's just something that I don't know how it started, it just always been the case that was traditionally the jam to use. So I think I'm going to move this board here. Okay. So I'm going to try and get the longest one first. Okay. And then the others. I made something similar. I made a Nutella tart, which was it's the same concept basically, but in that case I used a potato masher, I think it's called, to make the base. Filled it with Nutella and then did the same for the top. You can see it. You can look for the video. So I'm just going to push the end of the strips against the sharp edges of the tin, of the against the sharp edges here, and it is so soft that it just comes out very easily, as you saw. So now just do the same. Maybe I'll just use this for a long one. Okay. Let's see. It's a shorter one. You can see as how this is a good recipe to make with a child. So it would definitely be like similar to the Play-Doh kind of thing. Also because you have quite a lot of leftovers, I guess. So they can just play with those or make little cookies. It is the same sort of pastry. So, okay. So now I'm going to put this in the oven for about 40 minutes, I think. But I'm going to keep checking. It's quite pretty, isn't it? So I'll see you then. Okay, so this is the result, and I have to say it's quite pretty, isn't it? I've never, I guess I was taking it for granted. I'm going to add just a little bit of icing sugar. on the top. And you need to wait for it to be cool before doing this. Icing sugar always gets very clumpy. So now I can just put my hand through the bottom part and this comes out. And I think I can just slide it onto here. No, I cannot. Let's see. There we go. So, I just wanted to show you the inside. We do tend to have this kind of dry desserts at the end of a meal. Also because we always have them with coffee with a little espresso. Okay. So, as you can see, it's kind of like a biscuit. I'm just going to try a little bit. It's very, very nice. Yep. I don't see the difference with the more traditional version, so I definitely recommend this one because, as you can see, it was quite quick to make. So yeah, I'll link her recipe in the video down in the descriptions below. I hope you